Here is a country of great contrast.
Great civilization of antiquity.
A foreign country a step away.
All right, it's episode 7, Casa de Cavazos time. It is Saturday, January 18th, 2025. Here to provide your Tejano connection to reality. I'm Justin Cavazos over here in Chicago. That's Ada Cavazos Cuellar and Nathan Cavazos in West Lakota, Texas. You have a mobile recording setup, don't you?
I don't know if it's mobile, but I move it around. If you want to say that's mobile, then yes.
What you need to do is train your daughters to be your setup staff.
I think they might do that if they were paid in Robux.
Sold.
Yeah, that can be a negotiation. So I might offer $10 and see what my daughter says.
Is that 10 Robux or 10 American freedom dollars?
10 Trump meme coins.
Yeah, I don't believe in any coin other than Bitcoin and Ether, so that's not going to happen.
Would have hit it big if you bought it Friday night.
Yeah, I don't play with that. I'm not even, like I said before, that happy with my Ether. Crypto is like 0% return, and my stocks are like 60% return,
What the hell?
at least.
It must all be Apple then.
It's Apple, Google, and Amazon. Google's actually my biggest winner.
Yeah, we're just giving them all of our data.
It's fine.
It's for the best, right? They know what to do with it.
Totally.
Unlike China, apparently.
That reminds me of that TikTok thing.
That's
That
exactly
TikTok
what I'm
ban.
saying. What do you mean? What do you mean it reminds you? That's exactly what I'm talking about.
What do you think about that TikTok ban? Are you sad about it?
I have no feelings toward TikTok. Actually, no, that's a lie. I have strong feelings toward TikTok. It and a lot of other social medias are kind of poisonous to people and society. And I don't know, there's some weird like addict behavior that people are displaying now that they know that TikTok's going to go away for them. Like there's some people who are so bad with their alcoholism that they'd be willing to drink like diluted rubbing alcohol
Yes.
or like drink mouthwash.
Yes.
So I feel like that's
true.
what's happening with the TikTok users who are so addicted. They're so addicted that they're going over to a Chinese platform that espouses the morals of the Chinese Communist Party and is run by the government over there. They've already decided, like, I don't give a fuck about my data or like national security at all. I'm just going to go and give even more just directly to this Chinese platform now.
So they went to Red Note? Is that what it is?
There's like 2 of them, right? But I think Red Note's like the big
Okay.
one that's actually owned by the government.
Oh, okay, I don't really know about the other one. But I will say that I also read that if you really want that TikTok in your life, you can just get a VPN. So set up a VPN and you could still potentially use your TikTok.
Well, people have already started to figure that out because of the pornography ban that's happening. It's not really a ban, but it's like the age verification thing that's happened in Texas and a couple of other states. So really large pornography websites like Pornhub have just decided, well, we're not going to operate in the state anymore because we think this is actually harmful for user privacy and does not actually protect minors.
Yeah, I mean, banning TikTok I don't think really helps our society as far as how bad it is for people in general. I think people are just going to go to other apps. They can go to Instagram Reels. They can go to Facebook Reels. They'll still get their video content in some way, and people will still make the video content in some way. So we're pretty much on the decline as a society.
I said that. I already said that. And you were so shocked when I was like, I think we're done. You're like, what? No, impossible.
I said decline. You said done. It's like a different type of severity that I described.
Yeah. Did you see anything on the Supreme Court decision?
Yes. Yeah, so essentially they upheld the ban. And the reason the ban is being made is because of the concern about national security.
Yeah, they basically treated the whole like societal impacts and censorship and all that moot. They weren't even considering a First Amendment cause for upholding the ban.
Now, is the ban even going to happen, though? Once Trump is in office, it sounds like he's probably just going to let TikTok survive.
ByteDance, the company that runs TikTok, says they're going to go dark at midnight if there's not a deal in place. So they're not going to wait on speculation of Trump saving them. If there's not a deal, it will go dark tonight.
Yes. So maybe it goes dark tonight, and then on Monday, it comes back online.
I mean, they have a cash offer from Kevin O'Leary for $20 billion.
How much are they looking for?
I think the estimates are that it's worth $40 to $50 billion.
Or you could just have Elon buy it and just control people further.
Well, apparently they're open to that.
Yeah, because the issue that the Supreme Court is looking at is not about propaganda. It's not about the actual content on the platform. It's a national security
Right.
thing. And I'm wondering because like there's bipartisan support behind this bill. what does Congress know that we don't? Because there's a bunch of it that's behind like classified documents.
Well, I think it's just there's some information out there that everybody has. Nobody's really talked about is that apparently in the Chinese government, there's a secret clause where they can at any time ask any of these apps to give them all their information.
That's horrifying.
I don't put much on there, so I don't know which information they could use to my detriment or to the country's detriment. But I guess for some people, there's a lot there.
Yeah, this is not the first time that there's an actual national security risk associated with TikTok. Like, sure, the U.S. is the first country that's probably going to go through with an outright ban of the platform, but a bunch of countries in the EU and around Europe have already implemented things where people in their parliaments, people who work for the government can't have TikTok on their government devices. They know something about where that data is going that has made them all say, like, we're not even going to risk it with government devices. And even some of them are going as far as for if you are a government employee in some of these countries, you can't have TikTok on your personal device either.
You also got to remember that when you use a lot of these apps, they ask for permissions. So, I mean, it's not just what you put on there. If you agree to give access to your microphone, your camera, and all that stuff, they could be accessing that remotely.
Maybe they could be listening to me.
There's just so much information just collected from everywhere in the internet that's being funneled into one source that even if they aren't listening to you on your microphone, they have enough information about your habits, your location, who you've talked to during the day because of your GPS location. They might as well have your microphone already on. They know so much about you.
I mean, if you put it that way, it sounds scary.
We should have better privacy measures in this country. Like, some other countries are a lot better about it, trying to make sure that there are some privacy protections in place for consumers. But because people make so much money off of our data in the United States, it's going to be a long time before they consider that. You know, I think there are a lot of people who are upset with how the Biden administration turned out. Maybe he didn't do enough. Maybe he did the wrong things. I mean, even progressives aren't super happy about how the administration used their time. But one of the big wins was having someone like Lena Khan as our FTC commissioner, right? Really taking these huge tech companies to task, having someone in their 30s who actually knows how technology works and how these businesses work to actually take these things to task instead of an out-of-touch 70-some-year-old who has no idea how tech works, how this data collection works.
Well, I didn't realize she was 35 until you said that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Do you think she's going to stay with the next administration,
they've
or
already
is
picked
she
someone
out?
else.
Okay.
Andrew Ferguson to head the FTC.
I don't know who that is, so I can't comment on that at this time. I mean, I think that at some point in our future, we do have to think about some reasonable censorship of things that are outright lies that can harm the public. But that's not going to happen anytime soon. You know, like lies about medical things, maybe lies about the government, things like that. I mean, it's a slippery slope and it's tricky, but I think that at some point, some administration is going to make some type of change.
But who and how? I don't think it's going to be this one.
It's definitely not going to, well, I think this one is going to do some censorship, but it's going to be whatever helps them.
Yeah, I'm wondering how many of these big tech folks who are trying to cozy up to the current administration are actually people who want to live by the ideals of the party, or if they just know if they kiss Trump's ass, that's all that they have to do to get whatever they want.
It's all about the money now. It's about making money. It's about grifting. It's about scamming. This is what's going to happen to us next 4 years.
But they're already so rich already.
It's never enough,
I
sir.
don't know. I think about like all the people in South Texas who work really, really, really hard just to make it by. And there are shitty employers. I guess we don't have to name names. We don't have to put down businesses in the valley, but y'all had shown me some post of someone who did like window tinting or something. And their business was like, well, if you're a tint installer in this industry, you have zero leverage. So don't expect to make a ton of money here. Like, it's just based on like the cost of whatever car comes in. So if you have no attitude, then you can work here. But if not, go elsewhere. And I'm thinking like, man, that guy sounds horrible to work with. I bet he's one of those people that on the other side of things is saying, people don't want to work anymore. No,
Yes.
People don't want to work for you. You suck.
Yeah, people want to have it both ways, at least on the Republican side. They want to say people are lazy, they don't work, but then at the same time, they make them work horrible jobs. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, well, so you want me to essentially pulverize my body and mind for the sake of work for you to profit. And if I don't do that, if I won't take your job, then I'm lazy. So I don't know.
Yeah, so me as a business owner, I hear other business owners tell me like, why do you pay your guys so much? Like to me, I don't think it's that much, to be honest, but they're like, no, you could easily get more people. If you just paid everybody way less, you'd make way more money. And I'm just like, why would I do that? Like I'd have to start over with somebody that doesn't have the experience and the trust that I have because I trained them myself.
Not just like that, like from a moral standpoint, why do we always have to be like, let's pay everyone as little as possible? I mean, I kind of don't feel good about having people around me who are making very little money and are struggling. Like, why do I want my employees to struggle and have horrible lives when I could potentially make their lives better by paying them a living wage?
Yeah, and to a certain extent, you get what you pay for, right? If someone's more experienced and has real talent in a certain industry, you're not going to be able to pay them the minimum wage.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's a hard thing for some people to realize, but at the end of the day, if you want to underpay your employees, you're kind of treating them like shit, and you're directly responsible for them struggling.
I think they do realize it. I think they just don't care because I mean they'll get these people, they'll work them as hard as they can for as long as they can, and then they'll just get somebody new.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I mean, I have people ask me like, "Oh, do you know anybody looking for work?" And I'm like, "Well, what's the pay?" Like $8. And I'm like, I don't know anybody that would even get out of bed for that.
Well, and then that goes to the fact that some people make a calculation like, wait a minute, if I have small children and it's going to cost so much to put them in daycare for me to work, and I'm only going to make $8 an hour, that makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
Like, that's why it's better for me to potentially just stay home with my kids, spend time with them, help them grow up rather than work. Because if you only want to pay me $8 an hour, like, how can I even make it when I have to put them in daycare?
Yeah, and suddenly this got spun into like, oh, those people are lazy. They are abusing the welfare state. We shouldn't even have a welfare state because they're just on their asses, not doing anything and sucking the teat of society when there's really no other option. Just raise the minimum wage. The minimum wage has not even closely resembled the rise of inflation in this country.
So Senator Ron Wyden, Democratic senator from Oregon, he posted something on Blue Sky. He said that his staff got a hold of a memo from the House Budget Committee Republicans, and he posted like screenshots from the Ways and Means Committee, and some of it looks pretty bad for people who are lower income, middle income, maybe even like lower upper class income. Like, they're talking about they want to make cuts like getting rid of the mortgage interest deduction, making scholarships taxable, taking away the child care tax credit. So some of this stuff is going to hurt people, which is pretty bad if this happens, of course.
Yeah, they're sneaky about it too. Like, I remember during the first Trump term, people were like, "Oh, he's lowering the taxes. We're going to have to pay less." So thanks for that. But the plan had a graduated tax increase over the next couple of years, where at the end of it, they were going to be paying more taxes than before.
So part of this was saying that this is how they're going to pay for the tax cuts.
By taking more money from the poor?
Yes. Imagine if scholarships were taxable. I mean, most people that need the help are not going to have money to pay the taxes on scholarships. Like, that's crazy. That would be something that's very much against helping people if you're going to tax that. Like, I can't even wrap my head around it, that you would do such a thing.
So do you think this TikTok ban will help people?
No, not really.
I don't know. I feel kind of done with social media in general. Like, as a creative, I kind of feel like I have to maintain a minimum presence on there, at least on Instagram, because that's how you kind of get connected with other folks. But other than that, it's just exhausting. Like, I'm not even on Facebook anymore. I deactivated my account.
Why'd you do that?
I just wasn't enjoying it. First of all, it's an angry platform. It's even angrier than Instagram. There's a lot of people who are just pissed off all the time about something or another, or just sharing articles about things that make them upset. And there's just no joy on the platform. The way that Meta is extremely brazen with how they use your data is also upsetting. And even if I have a bunch of friends on there, at the end of the day, the people that I actually talk to now, I don't talk to them on Facebook. I talk to them on Instagram. I talk to them just like on text and just try to keep up with them that way. Instagram is still owned by Meta, but there's a little bit more joy on that platform. But I also kind of wish that I could get off of it too.
I mean, I'm not sure that Facebook itself makes the people angry. I think it's our divisive politics.
No, I disagree with you.
Okay. Well, tell me why you think it contributes.
I think the algorithms that are built into these are meant to promote maximum engagement. And oftentimes maximum engagement is any kind of reaction, even if it's one that is angry, right? So if you put something controversial and divisive on the platform, it's going to get commented on. And in turn, those most commented on posts get pushed out to more people. So it encourages the fighting.
I may have a different experience just because my Facebook is now more for information and communities that I'm part of. So like I'm part of Physician Moms group, which is massive. Some emergency medicine doc groups, some car groups at this point. So a lot of it's not angry. It's interesting.
Yeah. But it's weird how it affects communities too. Like Nathan, I don't know if you're in this anymore, but I used to be part of like a Dark Souls meme community where they would talk about like, the Dark Souls games. And it used to be funny. But then after a while, it just turned into a bunch of shit posting of trying to trigger other people in the platform by like either saying like, oh, that game that you like is trash. Like this is the best entry in the series. And then that was the entire content. Because those ended up being the things that people engage with the most.
I mean, I've still seen them, but I think it's kind of been limited on my feed lately. I guess I didn't engage enough. So it's probably happened around the same time you noticed it. Maybe I stopped interacting when I noticed it wasn't as engaging as it used to be.
Yeah, we're an angry people now. I was listening to Chris Cuomo's podcast today, which I haven't finished, but it was all about divisiveness and how Trump's already becoming extremely divisive about his next term. And he pointed out that, like, God forbid we have another 9/11 or something like that, because what's going to happen? They're going to just blame it on Democrats and just increase the division.
That's crazy.
And he's like, just look back to 9/11. Did you see Bush blaming the Democrats?
No.
Did you see them in general blaming the Democrats? No. We were united. And look at what's happened to us now. Essentially, one side, the right, blames the left for everything. And that's their MO.
With the whole culture war thing, ideologies are at the forefront, and both sides are pushing those ahead of actual policies.
Yeah.
Like they're blowing up like how prevalent trans athletes are in women's sports.
Right.
In order to have like some fucked up kind of win on their side of things, if they can convince people to act on that, instead of actually working on breaking up large companies and combating income inequality and making our healthcare system more efficient.
Yeah. We could even come together even on trans issues. Like both sides of the table saying, okay, what works for everyone? And make some compromises about policies. Like there's no reason why it has to just be like you have to be for it or against it.
I mean, it took a long time to even get gay marriage on the table after many other countries. So who knows what's going to happen with TikTok? Who knows how it's going to affect everyone else who is currently on the platform? But we're going to have a lot of things to see in the next couple of days, I'm sure. In lighter news, are you guys watching basketball right now? Like during the recording of this pod, are you watching basketball?
It's actually switched to football right now, so
We were watching the end of one of the Unrivaled league games.
Yeah, they opened up yesterday. Have you seen any of the action yet?
I have. I watched 2 games today. I wanted to see how Angel Reese would play now. She's coming off the injury. She looks pretty good. I mean, it's completely different.
On the Rose team?
Yeah, she's on the Rose team.
Wait, how does that work? Are they in the WNBA and the Unrivaled
Yeah.
League?
Yes. Well, most of them. I'm sure they might have some players that are not in the WNBA right now, but a lot of the players are current players.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so WNBA is in the off season and they're playing in this other league?
Yeah.
Yes.
And what's cool about it? Like, what's different about this league?
Well, it has a condensed court. It's full court, which when Justin told me that, I was like, that's crazy because like 3-on-3 is really hard to play. Like everybody wants to do like half court, which even the men's 3-on-3 is half court.
So it's 3-on-3 on a condensed court.
Yeah, and they have 6 players to the roster, but I mean, watching it, like the game is way faster. It's a completely different experience in the WNBA.
Yeah.
I think people I mean, I think it might have a chance if they can get like all the stars to get in there. Because I mean, they had Kelsey Plum, who was committed, but then she dropped out. Caitlin Clark sounds like she may play in the future, but I think she just wanted a break. But I mean, overall, so far, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I'd watch it
Yeah,
again.
Juju Watkins might be involved too. I think she's an investor in it. Like I know that Giannis is invested in it too.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is they're gonna, from what I've read, the salaries are gonna be higher than the WNBA, and it's a way shorter season.
That's what I was wondering right now. I was going to ask how much do they get paid because WNBA players don't get paid well. They usually have to go to Europe to play and make money.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's gonna give these women the opportunity to stay stateside and continue playing.
Actually be around their friends and families, not get detained by the Russian government.
Is that what happened to Brittany Griner? Was she playing over there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a whole thing.
I just feel like you shouldn't go to Russia at all.
But with this condensed court, it's like 70 feet, you said?
Yeah, 70 feet. The traditional court is 94 feet.
Yeah.
It's the same width, though. It's still 50 feet wide.
Even with this condensed court, it's just bringing up the pace of play. It's already more entertaining than FIBA 3x3 men's and women's. You watch FIBA 3x3, it's just, I don't know. It's okay.
Is that also half court?
Yeah, FIBA 3x3 is half court.
I think the half court is what really kills it.
Yeah, is Big 3 half court too?
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to have any transition runouts or anything. You literally got to reset.
Yeah, what I really liked about the stuff that I saw from the league so far too is you really get to see like how deep these women's bags are. Because I feel like in a 5x5 setting, you have very specific roles on the team, right? You're going to stand over there in the corner. You're going to be the person in the post. You're going to run these actions around the 3-point line. But 3v3, the court opens up. It's the same width. There's just a lot more motion. It's a lot harder to defend things. You can't really double someone the same way in 3v3. So you have to do a lot of this like one-on-one stuff where you can really get into your skill set. Like some of these women's layup packages are incredible. Their fadeaways, their turnarounds.
Do you think some of these players are going to showcase these enhanced bags once the WNBA resumes?
I don't know. Maybe.
Depends on what their coaches will let them do, right? And the schemes.
Or maybe they'll try less because they're making like a quarter of the money.
Yeah, just give up on the WNBA. Just play on this other league.
I think I read like the salary like in this league is going to be like 200,000.
And how long's the season?
It's like 2 months.
Yeah, it's like 2
that's
months.
pretty good.
Yeah, and there's only 6 teams right now, too. So if it gets really popular, then they could really ramp up because the teams are small to begin with. It's only 3 people on the court at a time. Do you know how big their benches are?
I think it's just a 6-player roster. That's why it's 36 players.
Sounds interesting. I might check it out.
Yeah, I know like Ada's a WNBA hater.
I just feel like, at least in the traditional setting for basketball, like women don't make it super exciting. Like they don't have the hops. They don't have the athleticism. I'm sorry. It's just like physiologic.
I think if you watch Unrivaled, you'll see that it's actually a lot closer to the men's game.
Okay. Well, maybe that will get people interested if they make it more exciting. But in the traditional setting, I feel like you really notice that the lack of athleticism makes it less interesting.
Is it a lack or is it just less?
It's just physiologic, right? Like women can't jump as high and whatnot.
Yeah, but there's a lot of speed in that game, in that Unrivaled game. It's just like the way that people use their bodies too. It makes it even more impressive considering how some of these players, I mean, women on average are shorter than men, right? So
Yeah.
like the looks that some of them are getting lacking so much of that height too.
I mean, the issue is so big in WNBA that I've read that people have suggested that they lower the rim to make it more exciting.
I mean, I don't really know what that would do for them.
Maybe more dunks.
Would there be alley-oop dunks? Would it just
Yeah,
be
of
like
course.
mediocre dunks?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I don't feel like dunks are necessarily the be all end all. I mean, dunks have kind of trailed off in a way. I mean, people don't care about the dunk contest anymore, right? The 3-point contest is what people care about nowadays. And sure, they're exciting to see mid game. I know this is like a false equivalency, but I think about when you go out and play pickup, and there's the occasional people who are athletic enough and tall enough to actually dunk mid game, but like the rest of their game is trash.
Yeah.
Like they can still lose that game, and they'll just ask you like to lob it up to them so that they can attempt to dunk that they'll probably miss anyway, and that doesn't make it more exciting, and that doesn't make it fun to play with them.
But the issue with the dunk contest in the NBA isn't so much that it's not exciting to do a dunk contest. It's that the stars are not stepping up to participate. That's what I think.
Yeah, but what would the Stars do that differently? Jaylen Brown went out this year, and he wasn't that exciting.
Jaylen Brown's a boring star. Like, let's get Donovan Mitchell in there. Let's get Giannis in there.
I would say Donovan Mitchell.
I think it's just that you have the stars out there. The fans are more engaged. They're more
That's true.
excited to see these players. But as far as dunks being like why the WNBA is not entertaining to you,
Well, it's not just the dunks. It's like the actual athleticism. Like you don't have that same level of like crazy like layups and whatnot.
I mean, Curry's not the most athletic guy.
I mean, Kyrie Irving. Like, is there something like that in WNBA? I don't think so.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark.
I don't know. Kyrie is like
I don't know
insane.
if Caitlyn has the handles that Kyrie does, though.
Kyrie
Kyrie's
is
handles
just
are
so good.
one of one.
Well, I'm just saying that if you look at like the most iconic plays in NBA history, almost none of them are dunks. So
True.
Jordan's shot.
But it's not the dunks only. It's the just level of play and the crazy like Kyrie plays and like the crazy like switched hands plays and things like that.
I still think that fans, from my experience, they get more of a reaction when a guy gets on a heater versus a single dunk.
Mhm.
It's just like, wow, like this guy's just incredible.
I mean, can anyone move like Steph Curry like
Yeah, Kyrie.
in the WNBA?
Yeah, Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, Caitlyn
No.
Clark has that kind of gravity. And as she gets more comfortable, like her shot's only going to get better too in
Yeah.
that league. It's just so crazy the schedule that they have to go through because they finish up their NCAA season, and if they got all the way to the championship game, they pretty much immediately go into the draft and then immediately into training camp.
Yeah, I think they start in the league within like 2 months,
That's
if I'm not
interesting.
mistaken.
Yeah. It's a horrible turnaround. Like with the NBA, they can finish their NCAA season. They can, I don't know, graduate.
Yeah.
They get drafted. They can do a whole training camp. They can do a whole summer league, and then they're ready to go. I have a feeling like Caitlin Clark's going to have a monster year next year because she will have had that time. An actual off season. After this past WNBA season, Caitlin Clark will have the first real off season that she's had since before her senior year at Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why she didn't actually commit to the Unrivaled League this year. She just needed that time off to work on other stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, Juju's coming too. Juju's super exciting.
So is Paige from
Yeah.
UConn.
Paige Buckets.
Yeah,
Is that her name? Paige Buckets?
it's a good nickname.
Yeah, it's Bukers or Bookers.
Bukers.
They call her Paige Buckets.
Sometime. I think she might be the #1 pick.
Yeah, it's gonna be really exciting times for the WNBA.
Not for Ada though, and it's gonna still be really bad.
Just don't have that like jumping ability, athleticism, and explosiveness.
I was talking to Nathan about this offline. Basically the WNBA players, they actually give a shit in the regular season too, and also
Yeah.
the season's shorter.
Shorter season helps. Definitely helps with making all the games more valuable, and people are probably gonna be more motivated when they have less games.
You got to watch some
Mm.
games, dude. You got to see Aja Wilson. You got to see
So-
that Las Vegas team.
So do you really think that the men's game would be better if there was less games? Because I think what would just happen is the same thing. Then they'd cry that they need even less games.
Well, like we talked about before, I think they could do like an NBA Cup to start, and then start the regular season after that.
So don't do the in-season tournament. Just have a little.
NBA Cup first.
And do you think the stars would actually play in those games?
If they want the money. And then if they don't, then okay, well, it'll still be interesting. Get some drama, some playoff kind of action, and then start the regular season. About a 60-game regular season.
I don't think you can get that league to care about anything anymore besides the playoffs. I think that's a lost cause.
Possible, sir. I don't know. I mean, you are more of an expert on sports since you thought that the Rams were going to win, and I thought you were dumb.
Hey, what happened to the Vikings last week?
I don't know. Apparently, I didn't know anything.
Nathan asked a very clairvoyant question. What did you ask?
I was like, you didn't watch Sam Darnold get pummeled the week before by the Lions?
I was also thinking that the Lions are really good, so that would be expected. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Well, at that point, too, the Lions were still pretty banged up defensively. They got one key guy back, and he looked really bad. And then he faced the Rams, who are young and have a promising defense. And
Yeah.
I mean, they dropped him, I think, 9 times.
So, what's your prediction on Eagles Rams?
I think it'll be a close game, but I think the Eagles should win. But if they get after Jalen Hurts the way they got after Darnold, it could flip the other way.
Yeah.
So they're going to definitely have to be on their game.
The Simmons pod felt like the Eagles were going to win. So, I'm hoping that the predictions are correct.
If we're going to keep on talking about sports on this pod, I think we should start putting up records on your predictions. So Nathan's
Okay.
1-0, Ada's 0-1.
Okay, I'm going to predict that the Eagles are going to win versus the Rams.
I'll agree with that. Who do you have in Texans Chiefs?
Chiefs.
Yeah, I'll take the Chiefs. And what about Ravens Bills?
Is it in Baltimore?
It's in Buffalo because Buffalo is the 2 seed. They did play each other once, and the Ravens wrecked them.
I think Ravens.
As much as I would like the Ravens to win. I think Josh Allen's going to pull it off.
Okay, so I'm going Ravens. He's going Bills.
Isn't
Okay.
the weather going to be horrible too?
Yes, they say Lamar's never played a game under 28 degrees and Henry under 22 degrees. I don't know why this matters, but apparently it does, because usually when they put out these stats, those teams end up losing.
Okay, and what's the other game?
Oh,
Lions?
Lions Commanders.
Lions.
Yeah, I'll take Lions. I think that's going to be pretty easy.
I have to mark down the record.
Yes.
See who is the actual expert on football.
I apparently am not. I didn't watch enough football. Had too much law school work apparently.
Too much fantasy. Didn't actually watch games.
I think I was also distracted by law school work and other work that I was doing. But maybe the outcome would have been the same. Maybe I still would have said that the Vikings were going to take the game pretty easily.
Where'd you see that? MSNBC?
I don't know. I think just my own head thought that.
Or was it a Fox broadcast?
All right, I just want to ask Justin, how do you feel about these reported mass immigration raids that are going to happen in Chicago next week?
Man, we have to end this pod on such a downer.
Yes.
Now,
Is it a downer? Is it a downer? Do you think it's going to be horrible?
I think it very well could be. I know a bunch of people who have non-legal status in the States. And
That
I know
live in
people who
Chicago?
know people in Chicago.
Well, allegedly, they're only going to be going after criminals this upcoming week. But if there are any
They're
people
full of shit.
around them, if there are any people around them who are illegal, they will also take them. So let's say they go to some criminal's house and the whole family there is illegal. They'll take all of them.
Do you know if they're going to take the children?
I thought so.
Because
That was Trump's idea, was that they wouldn't separate families, but that means that they'll take everyone.
well, I was reading that over there in I don't know if it's just in Chicago or in Illinois, like they accept any student, doesn't matter legal status or not, and they're telling them that they still have a place there, but where are they going to go if their parents are not around?
They're just going to take all
Yeah.
of them. Do you think
Yeah.
anything's going to happen as far as like people being harmed physically? Like, do you think any people are going to be beaten or shot or anything? Do you think it'll get to that point?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of the immigrants are good city people here.
Yeah.
I will also bring up that the idea of only getting criminals is kind of hazy too, because a lot of things are criminalized. There's some aspects of living unhoused that could possibly lead you to having a misdemeanor. So like that could actually make it a very low bar for getting quote unquote criminals out of the country. The other thing that I do want to say is that I know privileged people who have university degrees and are not people of color who get very bold during protests and these kinds of things, and sometimes they're not helpful. Sometimes they are the ones who are inciting violence, and then I have to hear a story about them later, like I got into it with a cop, and I tackled him, and like they do that shit. They actually do that.
You know,
So
people who
I
did
wouldn't
that
be surprised if
themselves.
some of these folks escalate things.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to be successful in getting a lot of people out on this initial raid?
I have no idea.
I was reading something that there's some groups out there that are telling them to memorize a phone number, number one, because they're not going to have their phones, so you can
Yeah.
contact somebody, and to not let them into your house, to be adamant that they need a warrant to get in.
Yep.
But are the people that they're going to send out to get them, are they going to respect those requests?
I don't know. I kind of feel like the Trump administration is going to let them do lawless things,
And the economy runs on a lot of undocumented immigrants,
right?
and getting rid of a lot of them is not going to help our country or our culture.
So what do you think about the fact, too, that they're starting this raid in Chicago because it's kind of like a show? Like, oh,
Well, what I was reading was that it wasn't really just in Chicago. Like the idea is that they're going to try to hit the major U.S. cities first. It was just that Pete Hegseth was doing a talk in Chicago where he was trying to rally the local people on that. So I don't know if he actually meant that it was going to be Chicago first specifically.
No, it's not just Chicago. It's actually all the quote unquote sanctuary cities. So it's not
So
going to
it's-
be just Chicago.
so it's
They're
all the
gonna,
Democrat big cities.
correct. It's going to be
So that sounds like
all-
a show to me.
all on Tuesday.
Like, why are they not like doing it in Texas where there's so many illegal people? Are they doing it in Texas? I don't think so.
I mean, I feel like Texas and California would be the places you'd want to hit first if you were serious about this.
I heard San
yeah.
Diego was one of the spots.
I mean, where we're from, wouldn't you come here first?
Yes, that would make sense because supposedly it's very dangerous here because there's so many illegals crossing the border. It's not
You're
dangerous.
in danger every day, aren't
no,
you?
it's not dangerous. It's not true. It's
So,
BS.
so are you sad that some of those street vendors are going to be gone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there street vendors that are illegals?
Yes, I was reading that too. Like they're afraid, like they think they're going to lose business as well because a lot of the clientele must be undocumented people as well. So
Yeah.
they're fearing that not only are they going to get deported, if they don't, their business is going to suffer.
There's an area
Yeah.
in Chicago, right? That's like a Mexican area.
Hmm.
So do you think they're
Yeah.
going to go there?
Possibly, but that place is being more gentrified, so
Okay.
I wouldn't know about that. I mean, there's also like Puerto Rican neighborhoods, and a lot of the immigrants that have been in there are Venezuelan too. So
Are you going to carry
Who
your
knows?
passport everywhere?
Yeah, you need to carry your passport, sir. It
no.
could be like Operation Wetback, where they're just like, you look like you're illegal. You're out.
Well, apparently that already happened here. Like some winter Texans were called on some guy and like he's totally legal. And the cops ended up asking him like, do you want to press charges? And he was like, no, but I mean, I feel like it happened to any of us. So, I mean, if I go out for a run, I'm going to have to make sure I have all my identification with me now.
Justin, go into hiding next week. They're going to be like, that guy is clearly Mexican and he's clearly illegal.
Clearly, you should have taken your wife's last name and you would have been safe.
Yeah, damn it.
I have some friends who are darker skinned Mexicans than me, and they didn't believe me when I said like, no, I'm full. Like, yeah, like my dad's folks were basically like Tejano. They lived in Texas, and the border moved over them. But you know, like we all got like Mexican blood. And he was like, oh, I thought you were half white, and I was like, nope,
I mean,
I'm not.
we've probably got Spanish in us.
Yeah, mom's side it has some lighter skin
Yeah.
among them, but they're the ones who actually immigrated from Mexico.
Yeah.
Wait, so skin tone determines how Mexican you are now?
There's been racism within the Hispanic community for a long time, even within the Hispanic community.
Yeah, colorism in Mexico is really bad.
Wasn't that kind of the same thing with like black people? They kind of like the lighter skinned people get treated better, supposedly.
Yes.
Hmm.
It's a terrible thing how
Yeah.
people are still obsessed with this color of people's skin and thinking that certain people are darker and are like a lesser person in some way.
Yeah, for a while I was worried that do some people like not see me as Mexican? Is that what's going on sometimes? And then when I was in Italy, people on like street vendors who are trying to sell you on something, they would try to speak Spanish to me. One of them went as far as saying like Spanish, Espanol, from Mexico.
So did that validate you in some way? Like, okay, I look Mexican.
Maybe it's the facial hair. Who knows?
It was the highlight of his life.
Yes.
It may have been the gigantic Mexican flag that I was wearing.
The big hat.
Yep. I was like carrying around like a guitarron, just going boom, 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 boom. Well, I don't want to keep you from your playoff football, so I think we'll see you later. If you haven't already, check out that mailbag. Email us, ask us some questions. We're excited to talk to you. Like, subscribe, rate it 5 stars, share the podcast on all the platforms: Amazon, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Spotify, you name it. And we hope to see you around.
Bye.
Out.